Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Roundtable. My name is Dion, and I'm joined here today with Phil and Andrew. Today, we'll be talking about the dark realm of Instagram. Andrew, kick us off, man. You're the one who brought this up. Talk about that Instagram life.
Instagram's awesome for everything because it's the best social media. Because, obviously, everyone likes looking at pictures. No one knows how to read anymore. That being said, fitness Instagram is absolutely atrocious and definitely very gimmicky, tries to sell you on everything, and it's just absolutely awful.
I understand that. I was thinking about this the other day on how wild the Instagram is and how it's like the Wild West, and everything you see on Instagram is almost like too good to be true, and half the time it is. It's just like you're living in a fantasy world. People are only putting up things that they want you to see, and it's never the ups and downs. It's always like I'm in the best shape, better than anyone in the world. Like, come follow me. And they have like everything's driven by likes. I think that's what the problem is too. When everything is driven by likes, you lose a lot of good information. And like, that's kind of what I think Phil was talking me, you and Phil were talking about before we even loaded up the podcast and started to get into this. Phil, what did you say about it? Like, you don't even follow the top fitness influencers. I don't even follow them. I follow, like you said, a lot of athletes and stuff like that. Like people who I know and trust. But a lot of people get caught up in the gimmicks of like how you look. Oh, you have a 12-pack? Oh, that's all natural? Oh, okay. Like, so Phil, how you feel about that, Pimp?
When I started following people on like my personal Instagram and even on my business one, the people who I went for were like, if they weren't professional athletes in the sports I'm interested in, then they were like other definitely like good sources of information that like, I'd already been learning from in other capacities. I think I wouldn't say I follow anyone who would like count as a fitness influencer, because all the people that I follow are other things first. That like, maybe they run a company that, it's like ours, like, they also do online coaching, other people who do other podcasts. I follow a bunch of like elite runners and triathletes and, powerlifters and stuff. And it's just like, I want to see more of people doing things that like actually interest me. And I feel like the fitness influencers in the recent times stepped up their game and tried to become fitness informers, but they don't actually know what they're talking about often. And maybe they even do, but like they, the people they work for want them to like sell something along the way. And that's the thing, that's the problem. But like, if the whole point of a post is just somebody's 6-pack or 12-pack or something, or like, the way that they've posed, it's not like also captioned with some like really informative thing, then like, it's not that that's evil. Some people like just looking at pictures of attractive people, and that's good for them. But like, when it comes to fitness, because I'm interested in the academics of it, I care more about what people are saying than what I'm seeing, which is very funny talking about Instagram and caring less about what we see, because that's kind of the whole point of Instagram. But people can still post a pic of them shirtless in front of a mirror, but if they put a caption on it that's like some sort of informative thing about like their diet or their workout, or like debunking some kind of myth about like, I may have a 6-pack like this, but it's my job, and here's, the expectations for normal people should be like this, or something like that, then like that could be okay. But, as long as I'm not getting sold to, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, man, is that it's okay to have a 6-pack and want to be pretty on Instagram, but once you start trying to sell stuff, once you start selling out, that's when you kind of start losing not even a lot of people. That's when you start losing me, at least, because a fitness influencer is an Instagram influencer really is a really funny job, because what exactly are you doing? I still can't figure out the formula, because if I could, then I'd be making millions of dollars, because these people make so much money off Instagram between sponsorships, clicks, and likes. It's incredible. And what are you really giving me? And I talked to my girlfriend before the podcast about this. Women especially are just sought after in a lot of these things, because what do women want? They want to look good. They want to have a flat stomach. Nowadays they want to have a big butt, thick with 2 C's is definitely the term that a lot of people like to use now. And these women pretty much just post pictures of their ass in a really, really, weird angle. And it's like, hey, do my 12-week booty burner and you'll look just like this. It's like, bro, fuck out of here. I'm not going to look like that. None of the women who are going to follow that are going to look like that. And then on the same token, the men who are sitting there rippled, looking like Steve Cook. And Steve Cook actually is one person that I really, really enjoy, who's I would consider more of a fitness influencer. But he's not a bad dude. Like, he does try to help people and kind of try to gear people towards the right direction. But 99.9% of the people out there are just, it's like, hey, do my 8-week fat shred program and you'll look just like this.
No, I feel that, man. Like, I'm over here. It's weird for me because as a personal trainer, Instagram is definitely, I would say, the number one like marketing tool that you have. You get to showcase what you're doing. You get to share your information with outside people that you might not get to see in person. That's a big, like, one of the hardest things to do as a trainer is to get new leads, new clients. And I see where the way the world is today, people are like things that are visually pleasing. I always say, like, thirst trapping. People really enjoy like seeing an attractive person and they'll click a like on that. And then next thing you know, like, Gymshark is messaging you and that gives you like a sense of good feeling. But a lot of times you're really not getting your general value. Like, for me, I get hit up by outside people all the time, supplement companies, clothing companies, like, hey, buy my shirt and be our brand ambassador and we'll give you 20% off these clothes, and then share my code and then you can get 20% off of 10% of what someone buys. And I'm like, wait a minute. So like, I still have to buy your stuff. Like, you're not sending me like a free sample. I just have to blindly purchase your product and then promote you. And that's what I feel like a lot of influencers do. Like the big time people probably get good sponsorships, but then you get like flooded with that information. Like, and now, like Phil says, it goes from being informative, like, I think you should do this because I believe in it, to, well, Gymshark sends me 5 outfits a week. So if I don't make 3 posts today about Gymshark, I'm going to lose my sponsorship. And like you said, there's some validity in I'm going to take a pose of my butt to look like this to entice women to try to do the same thing because I say Gymshark makes my butt look like this. So then they go and buy that $100 pair of leggings and it doesn't do the same thing. But they're not going to get their money back. And a lot of people are too ashamed to even like return it. They're like, wow, like, I feel bad that I did that, And it's really hard when it comes to like people like us and me being a trainer. Like, I try to post, quality content, but then I feel like I'm not getting the engagement or the good information or the good leads that I should be from posting like good, proper macronutrients and proper dieting tips and good workouts and good body positive imagery. I'm not like, oh, I don't have a 6-pack all year round. Like, I have some weight on me in the winter or have some weight on me in the summer. It's tough. And it feels like you're kind of, I always say lost in the swamp. Like, you're drowned out by all the other trainers or the other Instagram influencers because everyone's doing it now. It's a saturated market of just, you take your camera, you take a booty shot and then you post it and you try to get likes.
Dude, my girlfriend doesn't follow any Instagram fitness pages except for mine, which I wouldn't even really consider an Instagram fitness page. But I asked her before this podcast, I go, as a woman, what do you see on Instagram when it comes towards fitness? First thing she does is stand up, twerk her ass in a certain kind of way and go, women looking like this wearing Gymshark. never once in her life gone out looking for these, Instagram influencer clothing brands like Gymshark, different types of brands. And the first one she brought up was Gymshark. So whatever Gymshark is doing to get the analytics or the likes, I don't know how they do it, man, but everyone has heard of Gymshark, and their shit is so expensive. And the way they have their ambassadors brand them out is just awful. And I kind of feel like I'm the black sheep in this podcast right now, because you both post really good, informative stuff of you guys working out. I use mine more of like a satirical, funny Instagram. Like I'll post myself doing a deadlift of, a couple 100 pounds. And I'll be like, yeah, today I felt fat. Hashtag homie the clown, hashtag body by Crocs. So I give out zero information. I give out anything really worth value, because like you guys said, man, like it's such a saturated market. And you can really look through, and if you want to find Instagram information, you can find it. I'm not going to be the 1 millionth person to post how to properly do a bench press. It's just, for me, a waste of time.
Did you know, I found this out today, Gymshark is a $1 billion company.
I'm today's years old when I found that out.
Dude, that's so much money.
It's so much. It's from like, I don't think they make or sell anything other than athletic clothing, and they're worth $1 billion. The thing that they do so often, and we were talking about this earlier, is they get these people, men and women, who, the women aren't eating and the men are on steroids, and these are the people promoting their brand, that like they have this, like, I'm wearing the Gymshark tank top and I look big because I'm wearing the Gymshark tank top, but really it's because he's doing the the back of the gym flu shot over there, taking like as many drugs as he can get to get the sponsorship. And for the women, it's just as bad, because they're out there spending all their time doing nothing but hip thrusts and barely eating, so that they can have really tiny waists and big butts, so that they can get these sponsorships. And they're not like paying their sponsored athletes well, and their sponsored athletes are like hurting their own health. And then it's also like a public health thing. I mean, if I was a regular Joe scrolling Instagram and I see a picture of some guy and he's like, I went to the gym and, this is a picture of me after the gym or something. But like, I don't know enough about fitness to know that he's not like something I could do. A lot of people see these types of physiques and they're like, maybe I could do that. And then they try and probably fail, because these people are either, on drugs or starving themselves, or if they're not, they might just be serious athletes with sponsorships whose jobs it is to work out. And we're talking about like regular people seeing these posts who are having their like images of their own bodies like ruined. I mean, having a six pack with like the lines on your obliques and like, the kind of leanness that these men and women will have is not healthy. I mean, a really healthy things that I see sometimes is like pictures of bodybuilders in the off season. It's really funny seeing these guys who are like, always like, most of the time when they compete, they're they're so lean. You're so lean, you can like see their organs underneath their skin. But then in the off season, when they're not trying to compete in bodybuilding, they gain like 50 pounds because they're trying to put on muscle too. And they just look like giant dudes that like don't look like this sort of unattainable Herculean physique. And that's much more realistic than these like advertisements put out. Yeah, and I think like our Instagrams, I mean, yours, like you said, Andrew, like I love seeing those posts. They're hilarious. And the thing is, like when I put out one that's like the 1000th, like you should do variation, or like rep ranges matter, here's why, like it's hard to write that when like the person I read it from and learned it from years ago did a better job. And I'm out there with like 400 followers trying to like teach someone something. And the way I think about it is like, if anyone reads it and, comes away from it with more knowledge than they came to the post, then I've done some good. And even if, there's better versions of the information I'm trying to put out there, and even if it's just a couple paragraphs about, if you're going to do this, you should do it like that. if someone can read my post and it's the first time they're learning that thing, then, you know, it's a little bit more good that I've added to the Instagram pile of badness that we're talking about here. I mean, you know, I'm not like to the point of writing textbooks yet, but if someone comes to my profile, sees a post of mine and learns something, that's the goal I'm shooting for. Like long term, I want to be someone, I want to help a lot of people with their fitness, but like even better would be able to like spread knowledge in any way. And even if it's just small scale at first, you know, that's part of my goal for sure.
Does it make me a bad person not caring if people learn off my Instagram?
Dude, not at all.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
I feel like everyone just has to find their lane, like you were saying before, man. Like my Instagram, I go through like highs and lows of I want to write something informative, but realistically, half of my Instagram, I shouldn't say half, a row. I'm a big like aesthetics person with my Instagram. I do put a lot of effort into it. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I have a whole row. It's just of food in the 3 picture slot. And it's all Subway sandwiches because I just so I use my Instagram the one day I hope that Subway will sponsor me. So I'm trying to sell out to Subway, but that's my only one.
Yeah, dude. I feel like if you pick a good company to sell out to, that's not a big deal. Like, you know, if Subway was like, hey, Andrew, you can keep being dumb on Instagram, but you have to put at Subway, and sometimes you have to put a couple Subway sandwiches in your Instagram. I'd be like, psh. I'll rep Subway every single day.
Man, I would do that with so many food companies for sure.
Like free food is my number one sponsorship. If I get free food out of a sponsorship, good. I'm set. I'll sell you all day long.
Honestly, I'll hashtag Chipotle every day, every post if I can get like free bowls and burritos for life.
All I gotta say is the best fitness influencer of all time ate Subway. Do you know who that is?
Don't say Jared.
No, Happy Gilmore, homie. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can't be a real
Jared.
Yeah. Oh, no, though. That was that was a little build up for you. You guys thought I was probably gonna say Jared, but no. Happy Gilmore. Grandmother bought a house. if he followed his dreams to be a golfer, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He got revenge on that alligator.
And he did. He got revenge on the alligator.
And he ate subs.
Hey, Chubbs, remember that gator that got your eye? Well, I got his head.
Man, that's funny. I think we would all take food sponsorships before most supplement companies. Like if any place like Chipotle, Subway, Halal guys, if they were all like, you know, we're not even going to give you money, just like free food for life, we would all be like, totally, we're in. But like if any supplement company came to any one of us, we'd be like, I'm going to be really careful about this. Like I'm going to research your company real good to find out that you're not selling crap.
For real.
Yeah. The only sponsorship supplement wise I think I would take would be caffeine pills. If a caffeine pill supplement company told me they'd give me caffeine pills for free, I would probably shout them out. But that's it.
Does kombucha count as a supplement? Because I would take
that. It should count as a supplement.
Yeah.
If any kombucha companies are listening, I drink a kombucha every single podcast. So, you know, I'll shout you out like once.
I don't take caffeine pills, but if like Dunkin' Donuts wants to sponsor me, I'll take that.
I don't know if I would take a Dunkin' sponsorship. Dunkin' sucks, in my opinion. I hate Dunkin' Donuts.
Damn, don't do that to Phil. You just don't ruin his sponsorship. Like,
I don't know. It's not a big deal. What for the, you don't like the coffee, the food, or nothing?
Nothing. I don't. The coffee, typically, I always get black coffee, so I don't care about Dunkin's black coffee. Mm-hmm. Their food is always atrocious. And then when my girl gets drinks, she'll get like, you know, the sugary ones that you have to mix up a lot or else you're going to eat straight sugar. And they're always like wishy-washy. They're never the same thing. It's almost like each Dunkin' Donuts tells you a different way how to make a macchiato.
Yeah, honestly, I like you. I like my coffee like black. And if I can get like high quality, like fancy hipster style coffee, then like I would love to take it with no sugars. But like if I'm talking like Dunkin' Donuts, I'm gonna get with a little sugar because, you know, it's not the fanciest thing. But like if I wanted one of those like pretty much milkshakes, but I'm calling it a coffee, I'm not cool with Starbucks for other reasons, but like they make a better version of the like tasty, sweet milkshake drinks. that have a little coffee in them.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Did you guys know I was a barista
At
Yeah.
Starbucks?
Yep.
How do you like it?
I sucked, man. but
That's funny.
But it was fun. It was like getting the training. I always felt that was probably the one time in my entire existence of life where I really felt like I was subpar to somebody, because the baristas that would come in from like the city would have like 4 drinks going at one time. And I'm like, bro, I dead ass forgot about what the person ordered. Like, how are you making all these drinks? Like, they're just like going hard, but I'm not a fan of Starbucks. So,
And we all have different coffee preferences.
And actually, I worked for Subway too. So
Whoa.
you have 2 reasons, Starbucks and Subway, to hit me, Dion, and Philip. Thank you.
thank you. That's funny. That's a good segue into our, I think, one of the biggest topics we have written down, which is like people being objects for sale and like them selling things. And we kind of went over it a little bit, but like selling supplements as a Instagram influencer, I feel is a big thing. And we kind of really didn't talk too much about it, other than like Gymshark being like worth billions. But like there's other things that they sell that are kind of, like you said, harmful to the population, like the fit teas and like waist trainers. And everyone already knows my position on waist trainers. I think that's the stupidest thing ever created. And I see so many people wear them. And I'm like, what is it doing for you? And they're like, oh, it makes me sweat more. I'm like, you could wear a sweatshirt. Like, what are you, like, they're like, it makes me lose belly fat. And I'm like, what research do you have under this? And they go, well, blank says it does this, so it works. And they have abs. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to put you in a headlock and choke you out. But I can't, because that's not good for my reputation. But it just like, how is compressing your organs and your ribs to give yourself that slim waist? And I see so many trainers post videos of them, like of themselves with the waist trainer on, and like, yo, look how slim my waist got, and they're wearing a waist trainer underneath their t-shirt.
That's fucked up.
And I'm like,
Man.
what are you doing? And then they'll show their clients. They're like, oh, my clients lost 5 pounds in a week. And then it's like they're wearing a waist trainer in the second photo, or they got their pants pulled all the way up past their belly button, so you don't see their transformation photo, their pants are below their stomach or their belly button line. But when they take their transformation photo, their stuff is always pulled up. They're either wearing a waist trainer or something. It's like, come on, like, you're just straight lying to people, and people are thinking this is helping you, and it's actually causing literal internal organ damage and hindering your breathing process. Like, stop. Like, just don't.
Yeah, I think there's 2 types of waist trainers I think everyone should be aware of. There's the corsets, which are incredibly dangerous, especially when women take them too far and start really going for that hourglass shape that's, a 24-inch waist. Those are incredibly dangerous for you. They push your organs up, like Dion was saying, and they're awful. And then there's this, like, the sweet sweat waist trainers, the one that, like Dion was just talking about, the ones that you have to wrap around and they make you sweat. The corsets work, but they're bad for you. The waist trainers that make you sweat don't work, and they're bad for you. It's like you either way, you shouldn't be using a waist trainer.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is it's just like taking advantage of people. Like, I want to tell the person with the waist trainer or the fit tee, I know you want a quick fix, but fitness and health aren't just expressed in this way. Maybe the fit tees, I mean, they're just as bad in terms of being actively unhealthy for people. I mean, they like really mess with people's like digestion, and they're really bad for their insides. And even if, hey, you use that and you're not eating and you like drop some weight, like, has that helped you develop good like heart and lung health from, developing habits with certain amounts of cardio? Or have you increased your nutritional intake by increasing or changing your whole dietary pattern to include fruits and vegetables and fibers? Or did you just go on a diet of all water and tea for a couple of days? I mean, it's not that like those people are doing anything wrong. It's the people selling those things. If someone says like, oh, Kendall Jenner is selling the fit tees and look at her, or like, oh, this person's got a waist trainer and look at them. I mean, the person falling for these snake oil things, it's not their fault. I mean, they're being taken advantage of in a way that's, I want to start with something nice enough to say like unscrupulous, but honestly, it's a little evil to like take the fact that people don't know enough about fitness and health and use it to, one, profit in a way that's so much profit, and on top of that, in a way that just hurts them. I mean, there are things out there, like you can make a business and profit off of actually helping people, but these companies are profiting and they're hurting people, and it's even worse because it's both. And it's not that the person taking Fit Tea is wrong. It's that I want to walk up to them and say, like, you know, don't do this. Don't do this to yourself. You know, it's bad for your body and your mind. You can do it without these cheat codes. You know, you can do it in a real way, and it'll feel better if you do it. If you like get yourself fit or slimmer or whatever you're trying to do, you know, in the way that's actually health promoting. You know, that's why we're making this podcast. That's why we're all trainers. You know, we want to actually help people and teach them, and we want to like help them get there in a way that's healthy for their bodies and not bad for their bodies.
That's facts. I actually just said that to someone the other day. I made a joke about it because they said, "Oh, so Dion, what like testosterone boosters are on the circuit right now? Like, what would be good to help boost my testosterone?" I'm like, honestly, man, if you read any supplement, it says not researched by the investigated supported. Yeah, these statements aren't supported by the FDA, and I'm like, so something you're physically consuming as a dietary supplement has not been regulated by the FDA is probably not what you think it is. And that's a big thing. When you ever take any supplement and you look at it and you're like, well, okay, the FDA doesn't regulate this. Like, maybe I should look into this a little bit more than just take someone's word for it. I feel like that's what we do as like people and trainers. Like, we're like, you can't just take, like, you have to sift through the bullshit like we were talking about in the topics. It's hard to do it, but you kind of have to.
Dion, did you work at, I'm sorry, Phil. Dion, did you work at GNC when they had to get all of their herbs taken off the shelf?
No, I quit before then.
No, I think that you might have been after them, because it might have been like my first year at GNC. GNC, Walmart, Walgreens, and I believe Target all had to take like so many herbs off their shelves because they weren't what they were selling. If you were to go in for ginkgo biloba, what you're actually taking is wheat. Like, you're not even getting ginkgo biloba, you're just getting wheat. And those are legitimate companies fucking you over. You think the girl selling Fit Teas with a little waist and a big ass is going to be honest with you? Are you kidding me? And these Fit Tea, like, detox is, and that's what the Fit Tea is, right? A Fit Tea is a detox. Detoxes
it's a diuretic.
It's the dumbest thing that you could ever take. Diuretics, like, oh man, my head just almost exploded. They're so bad for you. And I don't think people recognize how important hydration is. If you lose 5 pounds of water in a week, that's not good. You're not gaining anything. You know, you fluctuate depending on how heavy and how tall you are. You could fluctuate 5-10 pounds in a week. I fluctuate weight pretty much all the time. Like, I think last Monday, I woke up and I was 214. I was like, whoa, what happened? Next day, I was at 220. Yeah, you know what I do? I didn't hydrate, and you know, I didn't have the meals I was supposed to. You know, I quit drinking for a week or two, and then all of a sudden my weight's exactly where it's supposed to be, and I'm hydrating the way I'm supposed to be. If you're consistent with your diet, then your weight won't really fluctuate. But if it does fluctuate like that, then there's a problem in what you're doing in your lifestyle.
I can't debate that.
Yo, man, my weight will fluctuate like that, like from the beginning to the end of a long run.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'll bring water with me, and I'll be drinking the whole time, and I'll still go down by like 6 pounds. Maybe not quite that much, but like a considerable amount. And it's like that's the thing that happens over the course of, you know, a day or in the other direction. And that's something, maybe we can get to this as a different topic at a different time, but about like people trying to like lose weight or gain weight, that like small fluctuations aren't the same as like long-term trends. And some people will see like, you know, the weight, they're trying to lose weight and it's like stagnant or it goes back up a little bit. Like we're just saying, like, you know, you could have just drank 1 extra glass of water and gain a pound, and maybe you just weigh yourself at a different time of day when you're more hydrated. You know, we could talk about like how to, you know, like sustainably long-term lose weight and like how that hydration plays as a factor for sure in a different time. But I think I have a lot of clients in terms of like supplements. I had a client recently, they asked me, what do you think about pre-workouts? And I was like, I told them, I was like, that's a very broad question. Like, a lot of pre-workouts can be good. They can have ingredients that, are useful and like, helpful and ergogenic. And, sometimes they'll have the ingredient, but it won't be in the proper amounts. Sometimes they won't even have the ingredients at all that they're saying they do. The fact that someone's coming to me and they know enough to say, what do you think about pre-workouts? But like, there's just enough gap in knowledge for like that to be the end of their question, because they don't know what's in it and they don't know what they're even looking for. And I mean, it takes a lot of, nerding out on fitness to like actually be able to be critical about these sorts of supplements. And most people don't have that kind of time, which is understandable. But like, they see someone, the big guy in the commercial, or the slim woman telling them that like, take this and you'll be like me. I think that's the real evil with all these Instagram posts. It's not take this, if someone's trying to sell you something with caffeine in it, it's not take this and you'll feel a 10 to 15% boost in energy, or you'll have an energy boost that's within a Cohen's d effect size of 0.3. It's take this and you'll look like me and I'm big, or I'm a slim woman, or you'll be veiny like me or something. And it's giving someone improper expectations, because everyone's individual. You don't know how much that person's working out. They don't know how much you're working out. And if they tried to sell you on the actual science, people wouldn't buy it because it's not as sexy.
So it's like, how when we were like taking our exams and learning, I always say like training jargon and stuff, like to be like, your biceps femoris, things like that. Things that people will not know, like your lumbar spine. If I was to look at like a client, like, oh, you got to fix your lumbar spine, they'd be like, what are you talking? I don't know what that means. Like, explain that to me. I feel that a lot of supplement companies do that to people, and they use gym jargon that people think they understand, but they don't. They're like, oh, take this and you'll get a sick pump. And it's like, or you'll get a huge pump, or take this nitric oxide booster and increase your oxygen consumption by 30%. And they're like, whoa, that's like crazy. And then like someone like us is like, wait a minute, like that doesn't even sound realistic. 30%, like maybe like 2. That's and oxygen consumption. Like, what are you? This isn't like your epoch. What are you? That doesn't even do what it says it does. Like, but someone who doesn't know that type of word, like, sees like, oh, I take this and look at how big this pump I got, and they're like, oh, that guy's arm is huge. I'm going to get a pump too. I want to get a pump. And then they're like in the gym and they don't have a pump and they're upset. Like, and then their body. So it's like the language that's used too is to like confuse people.
It is, man. It's like, dude, I took this and I didn't get dick skin. My skin is so long. I don't understand. You see those bodybuilders who have like zero skin and their veins are popping out like 4 inches off their bicep and they just have no body fat. It's like, well, that guy had to diet down for like 20 weeks in order to get that. And then he took a picture with a supplement like this and he was like, oh yeah, guys, this is how I did this. It's like, no, that's not true. And one thing out there for all the women who do not know this, because not a lot of people know this, a lot more fitness influencers and women athletes take steroids than you think. You see that girl with a very, very small waist and a big ass, she's probably on a low level of juice and she's probably has a lot higher testosterone than you think. And people are like, oh, well, this woman, that's so natural. Like, I feel bad for women because it's so easy to look at a bodybuilder and say, oh, that guy's definitely on steroids. But it's not easy to look at women and figure out whether or not they're on steroids. I think a really, really good example for everyone who wants to check this out, Dana Lynn Bailey. She is definitely on juice. She definitely takes steroids. And she said that she's been natural her whole entire life. 0 shot. No way in hell. Fuck you. Like, that's so misleading and so wrong and like such a bad thing to do, because all you're doing is telling these women that, hey, if you work hard like me, your delts will pop out so much that you can actually touch them through your phone screen. It's like, dude, that's so like mean. Like, Dana Lynn Bailey's testosterone levels are probably higher than mine. And I'm a 26-year-old male who's pretty healthy, like, who's been lifting weights for most of his life. Like, my testosterone is probably pretty high. She's probably on a little bit of test. And the other women who don't look like Dana Lynn Bailey, because for my opinion, she's pretty easy to spot as a fake natty, a fake natural person. these women who have these tiny waists and these big asses, these large legs, it's like you should probably, not that you can look into what they're taking because no one's ever going to post that, but they're probably on a little bit of something.
I think another factor there in terms of like when you're looking at someone, trying to recognize someone who's like you said, fake natty, like, someone who's enhanced, as they say in like the untested world, is that like, there's a huge amount of variation in terms of like what people's potential is and the amount of like fat people normally store, and like, there's a huge amount of variability between people, enough so that like I wouldn't be confident looking at most people unless they are currently taking a steroid and saying that person is on steroids. But the important thing is the message of, even if they're not, even if it's, whether or not that woman you're talking about, Dana Lynn Bailey, maybe she is on steroids, maybe she isn't. But even if she isn't, it's still toxic of her to be telling people you could look like me, because her job is working out. You couldn't look like her as a woman unless you probably had very good genetics and spent most of your day for the next several years working out. If you're a regular person with, other stressors and other parts of your life, then someone telling you whose job it is to work out that you could look like them is hurtful to you, because you think like, why? Well, I'm trying, I'm going to the gym, 4 times a week for 45 minutes. Why isn't it happening? Well, because you're a normal person and it's okay to look like a normal person instead of muscled fitness person. Maybe if you want to look like that, maybe you could, but like it takes a huge amount of commitment that people who have to work actual jobs just don't have the time to do. And it's even like whether or not someone is on steroids, it's hurtful to see something like that and for them to say you could look like me and to try and to fail, when the real message should be, you can do whatever you set yourself out to be. You don't have to look like me. That should be the message. It's like, all right, 50% of how I look is based on, or like 30% of how I look is based on good genetics. 30% is based on, the fact that I work out all the time and maybe I'm enhanced, or, I have a nutritionist and I get paid for this. So, I like, eat the best and maybe I'm taking all these supplements. But then the other 30% is like, it's because I've been practicing these picture taking methods for so long that I can make what's a good physique look like a wildly fantastic physique just by, being able to light the picture differently and pose differently. I mean, I've seen people take a before and after photo 5 minutes apart and do the before afterward just to prove a point that, like, drink a glass of water, like face the camera directly on instead of being at an angle, and change the lighting and you look so much worse or better. It's like a magic of the camera. These people, they know all the tricks of the trade, but you look at them and you're like, wow, they just look that good, but like they're using these tricks to make us think they look actually better than they are.
Did you guys see my Instagram versus reality post on Instagram?
Oh, I think I did. Yeah, that was good. That was funny.
Dude, that, like, if that's not the perfect example of how you can contort your body, especially as like a man, like a lot of people are familiar with, women kind of twisting their leg out, popping their butt out, and then having a big ass. Well, like, I am by no means very, very in shape. I mean, I'm in good shape. I'm in better shape than your average person. But I literally took those 2 pictures maybe 2 minutes apart. And the one picture, my girlfriend even made a comment. She goes, damn, like, you looked really, really good in that. Like, that's kind of crazy. And you flip over and there's me with my gut just hanging right out, dude. It's like, I by no means, I'm strong and I'm in good shape, but I'm not lean. And the way I posed like that, it looked like I had a V shape. My lats popped out, my waist went in, my legs looked big. And that's just your normal average Joe dicking around with angles.
Yeah, that's so true, man. It comes down to my biggest thing as a human being in the fitness industry. And I know all 3 of us fall underneath this of transparency. I think transparency in what you do, what you say, and who you are is so much more important because like you say, Andrew, like this is what I did. You specifically said I did this on purpose. And you didn't say like I look like this all the time, but this happens. Like transparency is key. Like it gives people the understanding of like, for example, like myself, like I did have a really good six pack at one point, but the last photo I just took like from like a month ago, I barely have abs. You know what I mean? You can't see anything. I wasn't trying to pose well for the camera. I'm like, this is okay. Like I'm a physically fit person. Like at any given moment, I can run 2 miles, and at any given moment, I can bench 225. Like, but you can still also not look like how you want to. Like, you can be comfortable and like to be transparent. That's what Phil kind of was saying. Is like, no, not a lot of these people are being transparent. They're saying, and Andrew said it too, that they're saying they're natural, but they're not. They might be natural, but they're not telling you that their job is to work out. So they have a personal trainer. They themselves have a trainer. They have a home gym. They have a personal chef that comes and cooks meals for them. So they don't have the same stressors. They don't have the same hindrance, like barriers to entry like everyone else does. And to you, you're like, oh, that person, they go, oh, I'm struggling so hard. I have my meals in my lunch pail and I got to bring it to work. But someone prepackaged that for them. And then they put it in their thing and they left it for work. You don't have to do that. They're not being transparent. And you have to kind of look for that. You can see it really easy. That's something I feel you can pick up. Like if that's my word of advice for everyone who's listening to this, that's something you can pick up and you can see on Instagram, how transparent someone is. You can tell when they're trying to sell you or when there's like the Andrews who are like making a joke about it, but it's like, I do work and I put in a lot of work and he has videos of him working out hard, but he's also like, I don't have to look this way, and that speaks truth and volumes to a lot. So
I think that's a great point. I think the word transparency covers it really well. I feel like it was like 10 years ago when people would say the phrase like keeping it real or like being real. And I think that's the that's the way that people were used to talk about that same thing is like, you're keeping it real because you're like actually telling people the truth about, how you got to or are the way that you are. I mean, I've followed certain like powerlifters, for example, who have admitted to being, they compete in untested federations and they're like, oh, and this is how I manage my, the things I take. And they're like, not very many people will be open about it, but sometimes they'll be open about the steroids that they take. Or, they'll like do a like an honest full day of eating or something like that. Or sometimes they'll even talk about the privileges they have that like, they're talking about like, oh, here's the meal that I pick up from, this place, or like, they'll talk about like, oh, we're going to go pick up food from here. I remember back in the day, I used to not be able to afford this sort of thing. I got it so much easier these days, they'll admit that they got it easier. And that's something that, I like, even as a trainer, like packing a lunch and bringing it to work and like having to be the one to do it yourself. Like, it's not fun. Packing a healthy lunch, it's not like a walk in the park. And these people who have like cooks for them, like I envy that so much.
Dude, I'm not going to deep dive off the diving board into this one because you guys know how much I like powerlifting. But one of the million reasons why I enjoy powerlifting so much is because you do have those athletes that are completely transparent with what they do and what they have. I love that, dude. It's like, yeah, this is me. I bench, I squat, I deadlift, I take steroids, I eat all the food in the refrigerator, and I get all this massage done, like stuff done. There's 2 big federations that I won't talk about, but one's drug tested, one's not. The drug tested one gets a little goofy with fake natties, but that non-tested federation, man, all those guys are like big burly dudes with these fat beards who are like, yeah, I take all the juice in the world and I am strong as fuck and I absolutely love it. And how can you hate on that? Because at least they're being 100% transparent with you.
I don't like the whole steroid taking thing, but I like when people are honest. Because then I don't, like me as a 18-year-old Dion doesn't look at that person like, oh man, like I'm going to get like that. I'm going to dedicate all my time. And then I'm wasting 20 hours of my day when I'm never going to obtain something like that.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, the transparency that these people like put out there the good message that has is that, like, you know, yeah, I'm a person and I somehow got here, but like I took these steps to get here. Like maybe, you know, I take steroids or something. Like if they're admitting that they take steroids, that like, you know, an average person isn't going to look at that and say like, oh, I could do that. They're going to look at that and say like, you know, oh, now in understanding the whole of the situation, you know, I understand that like I couldn't do what they're doing without taking steroids because neither could they. And the idea that, you know, someone putting out there and saying that they, like someone who does take steroids saying that they don't, like it's hurtful to people because they're saying like, you know, why can't I do what they're doing? I bought their workout program. I've been training, you know, I've been subscribed to them as a coach for years, you know, but, you know, when the truth is that, you know, they're really not doing it without help either.
What's going on, guys? That was the Fitness Roundtable with Andrew, cavemanbarbell.com, Phil, yosstraining.com, and Dion, activegamerfitness.com. The roundtable is more of a discussion than anything. We hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe. Stay fit, stay strong, stay educated.